Hey, welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. I just was hearing my son whistle. So I appreciate you guys being here, rocking with us, and hanging out. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Make sure you tag somebody. And if you're part of our text community, if not, make sure you text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Never miss a broadcast. Today we're talking about, are we being shaped by another man's? Is my success being shaped by another man's hands? Right? That's what I got. Nope. Got to put my thing up because that's how I do it. Sometimes I have it on the board. Oh, what is going down? Is your definition of success written by another man's hands? Bam. And we're gonna dig into that conversation. Prayerfully, Pastor will be here 10 after. You know how we do. And this is what we're going to talk about, as well as kind of like we as African Americans and how we compare ourselves to others and other races in success, and what's the standard look like. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Lisa. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for rocking with us. I appreciate you guys for always supporting, always being a part, and always know sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. What else? Not much to share in news today. I know there's probably a lot going on, but nothing in my radar. I'm sure we'll probably talk about some things towards the end of this broadcast. But again, I appreciate you. What's today? Today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Almost to the end of the week. The weekend will be here. I appreciate you guys for rocking and hanging with us. Listen, we got a lot going on. Trying some new things. Because let me be transparent. I got the camera here. I got my monitor here. And the way I got the monitor set up, I got it set up where I don't see all the comments. So I can stay focused on the conversation instead of the comments. So if I get paused, it's just like I'm trying to be nosy about what's going on in other parts of the room. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kick it off and start. Sometimes when you're trying to grow and do more, help is always necessary, but you want to make sure you're allowing the people that are assisting you to do their thing, use their gifts, so that you can focus on yours. All right, so that's where I'm at. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kick it off. And we'll be right back right after this. I want to welcome you to the Brothers of Legacy broadcast, where we are changing our community one conversation at a time, every day.
We are creating a new legacy.
Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come.
A co-op has to start with ownership. Right. We have a mindset of either I want to make a lot of money or survive. Make a bunch of money or I got to figure out how to survive.
When you have a real bond, when everyone has, we come in with real expectations. Mm-hmm. Because this is covenant.
The whole premise is that we as a people, with our money and time, aren't often making this general possible, often invested in the business.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
All right. Welcome back. So like I said, today we're talking about hey, Mama Corey, is your definition of success written by another man's hand? And, previously we've talked about how you personally define success. But honestly, like a good number of people, because I want to say most or all or some, but a good number. Success is defined by what you see. And for the most part, a lot of us, and speaking directly into our community as African Americans, our success, hey, what up, Kadeem? Good morning. Good morning. A lot of our success is defined by labels, like the Gucci, the Louis, the Rolls Royces, the brands and things of that nature. And the thing is, why is it that what we see that success is should it define our success? Now, some will say, you're only saying it because you can't buy that stuff. But I say, like, instead of, and there's a lot of YouTubers that talk about investing and things of that nature. ET in particular is one who doesn't flaunt, as far as, at least to date. I never know what's going to do tomorrow, but at least to date, he talks about what he's accumulated based on the work that he's put in, but he's not a big gold chain wearer. He doesn't wear Gucci. He rocks sweatsuits and t-shirts that a lot of time are the shirts that he's made are part of his brand. And about the only thing that may be some kind of name brand, maybe is sneakers that you never really see. So he never pushes success as a brand, going after a brand, but he pushes success as being able to invest and have a legacy for your future. What are you leaving your children? What kind of network are you leaving your family? And, I respect him for that because he never tries to flaunt it. His brand is jogging suits. He speaks, if you've seen enough of him speaking at schools, he said, even in corporate America, he doesn't wear suit and ties. He said he built his name, and they're cool with the jogging suits and the t-shirts because it's part of his brand. And so we define success a lot of times by what we see. We want the house, we want the cars, we want the money, but who's driving the cars and who's owning the houses? If success is what we always see, right, then are we really succeeding if it's just bringing us more to debt? Because it seems like success has a high price. And to me, that cost should be more sacrificed than it does stuff. And we can always get into, liability versus assets, whereas cars are liability because they lose value. There's no value in buying cars as far as trying to get the money back. Rollins says success can be installing the value of hard work, instilling the value of hard work. Definitely. But we get, like I said, we get caught up in buying things that depreciate instead of appreciate. Even diamonds, they don't appreciate in value. I don't care what anybody says. Diamonds have no value. And a lot of times we have a diamond purchasing mindset instead of an asset purchasing mindset. Because a lot of times, going back to ET, he talks about purchasing land and houses. He has, I think, a house in Los Angeles, a house in Detroit. He's just purchased into some businesses. So we can't allow others to define success. Good morning, Keita. Good morning. Success should be, to me, success for me, let me say it that way, is purchasing assets that gain value, as well as being able to have residual income, passive income, and having a legacy for my children, monetarily wise. We're talking success kind of like in the monetary space, the hard work to success in a monetary space where my children won't ever have to struggle. Now, of course, the goal is to teach them the disciplines to keep what the wealth that I'm leaving them, because they can squander it. And the next generation is like, great granddad left left $3 billion. Granddad squandered it, and now we're trying to rebuild it. But yeah, it's definitely a key to building wealth or just becoming successful, to focus on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to build, what you're trying to create. What is the future that you're trying to create? What does your destiny look like? What is your journey looking like? And to get real specific, as a African American, it's it's kind of like, the standard that I grew up being raised was that, my but I don't know, since my dad, I know he's passed, but my dad would tell me, he said, whatever you see Caucasians doing, he said, make sure you're doing that. And there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. But for them to be the standard of success kind of always leaves like a little chip on your shoulder, like, that you're less than. And my question is, do you feel like as African Americans, Caucasians set the standard of what success is? Do you feel like Caucasians set the standard of what success is? Or do you feel like success is just success? Be honest. Keep it real with me. And I want to know, what you guys think of that. There's a couple of you on here, so make sure, share with me. This is a two-way conversation. I want to know how you feel about that. Do you feel like the Caucasians set the standard for success, or is success just success? Or do you feel like there are other ethnicities that are setting the standard for success? Awesome. So marinate on that. Let me just reintroduce him. Coming to the stage right now, all the way from California. Bobby G. Pastor Ryan A. McCrory Sr. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, man. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, BOL family.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Oh, we got a cameo by Kaneem Curvey.
Yes. Oh, Kaneem. Yes, sir. What up? Turn it up a little bit. So yes. So like I said, today we're talking about, is your definition of success written by another man's hands? I was kind of like segueing into this pastor kind of set the substratum for the topic, set the foundation. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning. So I was kind of transitioning into the main point of what you sent me. And I was asking the people, does the Caucasian race set the standard for the success we should reach, or is success just defined by success? Or keeping it real, does another ethnicity, do you feel like sets the standard for success? Like we've talked about the Jewish community, does that set a standard for success? And so how do you feel, Pastor? Because you send it to me. Do you feel like a lot of African Americans standard of success is set by Caucasians? Or we're too busy trying to be like them? I know for some time in my life that was, like a standard. Like I said before you came on, my dad said, whatever you see Caucasians doing, he said, make sure you're doing that. Yeah. He said, make sure you see a room full. Oh, you're in the right room, and what's the old term of white is right kind of situation? Like, yeah, that's it. Do you feel like we let their standard be our standard?
That's the question.
Right.
That's what I want to know. I want to know
what people feel about that, because I was watching this this documentary. I don't know what channel it was, but it talks about the programming of America. It talks about, you know, how much we don't realize that the way we think, our culture, everything has been designed with white hands, with white minds. You know,
Right.
when you listen to your radio, a white man decides what you get to listen to. When
Right.
you turn on your television, you know, it's white people that are driving what's available on television. It doesn't matter how many black faces you see, it's being
Right.
driven by white people.
Right.
So if they control what you're exposed to, how is success defined? How is your world really shaped?
Right.
How can you believe that you're being true to yourself if everything you know has been shaped by another culture's hands?
It's interesting.
Because you just said it, like, you, morning, bro. Black folks used to think that you're successful when you make it into the room filled with white people.
Right. That was the standard.
When you can afford to go to the places that they go to, that's when you feel
Right.
like you've made it. When
No matter
you know
how.
you're successful, when white people say you're successful.
Whew. Right. Right. The crossover.
Yeah.
Crossover.
And
Right.
and I only know that because we're now living in a day and age where we have more power, we have more leverage as quote unquote minorities,
Right.
whatever that means.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
people are mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think about Fox News, the Fox News host who said, you know, LeBron James gets paid $100 million to dribble a basketball. So keep your politics to yourself, shut up and dribble. That's
Yeah.
basically saying you ought to be glad that we're writing you a check. Get back in your
Right.
place.
Right.
Blank, blank.
Right. 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 And
People, they're offended by our level of success and by our level of confidence.
right.
Now, I don't want to make this, I'm not trying to stir up racial tension or anything. What I'm trying to do is encourage us to think differently about what our reality is and what your definition of success is, because your definition of success cannot be defined by someone who's not doing your work.
Indeed. Definitely. Richard says mindful success can be visible, and also success is the backstory, the unseen work, the personal development, the sharpening and improvement of one's skill. Always create assets that pay your liabilities, to pay the cards, etc. Especially put cards through LLC against tax new car every 3 years. Okay. And Rollins says success is a mindset for me. Riches or monetary is a desire not yet reached, but I am still in success. It's still success. That's good. That's good. Dr. Rollins says, to answer the question, literally, yes, they set the standards, set up systems accordingly. It's not right though, and we are working to disrupt these systems. Indeed.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
We are disrupting. So what I realize we are experiencing is the consequences of the disruption. Folks are mad.
Yeah.
Because we're tearing it down.
Yeah.
Our success and self-awareness is breaking a system that was designed to limit, to put a ceiling on your imagination, put a ceiling on your creativity.
Right. I mean, I definitely believe that. I mean, I also know, like, you know, we do have some ways as far as kind of changing our mindset, you know, like we talk about assets and liabilities and how we utilize the resource of money to gain leverage, you know, in our communities and things like that. I think we still have some ways to go and some education that needs to, be infused into our community, the way we look at money and things of that nature. But yeah, I do agree. We are starting to disrupt the system. I just think, we just have to get out of the old way of thinking. Dr. Rollins says sometimes we inappropriately use comparative statistics or benchmarks looking at how African Americans are doing versus whites to say if we're doing good or bad in comparison to them. Yeah, this is not how we should put our lives situation in context for action. Indeed.
Yes, that right there.
Yeah, those comparative. Right, yeah, because it always
what is your measuring stick?
They're the standard, right? And we're trying to reach, and it's it truly is like a psychological thing. Like when they keep comparing like household incomes and things of that nature, and whenever they speak of like a disproportionate part of the country, like it's always like minorities and poor, and just like infusing the word together. Minorities, poor, blacks, minorities, poor. It's kind of like every time I hear it, I'm like, I feel like they're just trying to put us all together in one space, and it's all separate, and so I know it's a lot of psychological warfare to kind of put it a different way happening, on TV, in the media, and things of that nature. Yes, it all means to justify the divide. Yeah, indeed. It's a constant barrage of either sometimes outdated statistical information in order to meet somebody's argument, or just to say, you're still here, kind of like a what they call a clarion call to the Caucasian, like, don't worry, you're still good. you're still on top, kind of thing. As opposed to just, the fact that we are growing economically, of course we are all seeking to want more, do better. But honestly, I see us, to me, economically doing better than we have in the past, having more access to certain things, because of the internet, things becoming more global, it's not a good old boys club. Let's see, you say, yes, there's a book about low income fathers with a black men go, wow.
And yeah, they paint this picture, that's the one thing that I recognize, we talk about it all the time, but I don't know if we put much thought into it, that, when entertainment was designed, think about the fact that, remember the TV show Kung Fu?
I do. I remember it. Yeah. I don't remember watching a lot of episodes, but I do remember vaguely, though.
Who was the guy who played, what was his name, the star of that show? Does anybody remember?
Somebody Google that. I don't know. Somebody Google that for me. Let's find out. David Carradine. Nope, don't say that. Okay.
David Carradine.
Yeah. Okay. I was right.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
David Carradine.
Hey, good morning, Mark. In the building.
Spoon. Was that his name? David. What was his name?
David Carradine.
David Carradine. Yeah. So what they did not want to show is an Asian in a leading role.
Right.
They made a white man look like Asian.
Right. That's interesting.
Right.
You're right. I figured you were on there with that. I was like, yeah.
Right. They would darken the skin of white men to play Native Americans or Indians in movies. Right. They would darken the skin and put buck teeth in the mouths of white men to play Asians.
Right. Yeah.
Because they didn't want minorities on screen. And if they put them on screen, they had to put them on screen in a particular image. Right. and so what I'm saying is like we were groomed to see white men piloting airplanes.
Right.
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 Star Wars had white pilots.
Yep. Captains.
Right. Everybody that was in a lead role was white.
Right. True.
So and I'm saying like that's the way that our world was shaped.
True.
You did not see black people. You did not see minorities in lead roles, in lead positions, in entertainment, anywhere.
That's true.
When you go to the bank, it's a white VP.
Yep.
You go to the doctor's office, it's a white doctor.
Right. Right. For a long time. Right.
Right. That's the word. So you could not imagine. I'll never forget in 1993, 94 or 1994, one of my neighbors came to me and said they were talking about their son. They had to take their son to the emergency room, my white neighbors. And the wife came in, her name was Carrie. She came in and said, yeah, we had to take Junior to the emergency room. We had this really nice doctor. He was black, but he was really good. This is 1994. She said he was black, but he was really good.
Look,
I was like, Carrie, what do you mean he was black, but he was good? I'm like, was he a doctor? She said, yes, but that made him good. Right. But what I'm saying is like, we have to work at putting ourselves in certain positions, in certain images. We have to work hard at it, which is why we're in such a struggle today.
Right. Oh yeah. I remember that Dr. Ron said they talk about this from the documentary about Bill Cosby. There weren't any black stuntmen or women that colored their skin to imitate any black actors. Honestly, and Bill Cosby actually requested that they have black stuntmen. The actual first black stuntman organization got started because of that.
He insisted.
Right.
He
insisted. Sorry, back then he insisted. Right.
Yeah.
And shout out to Bill Cosby on that one because he helped start the Black Stuntman organization. So yeah, that was good. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where you get that term. Oh, you think you white? You acting white? Like what? Oh, we're not supposed to be able to do this.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be able to speak with clarity. I'm not supposed to be able to speak with the level of intelligence. You know, it's so amazing. Yeah, absolutely, Cheryl. All right, that's the only shout out he gets.
I know, Dr. I'm saying, can we give him a little bit? I give him a leaf on the flower a little bit. Yep, we had to be twice as good to be considered. Yes, indeed, Cheryl.
Well, you can't deny that he was a trailblazer, but you also cannot deny that he had some issues.
He had some issues. He did some things.
There was something in the pudding. We were taught we had to be twice as good to be considered. We had to be even beyond twice as good, Cheryl. We had to be immaculate. I mean, the levels that we had to hurdle to be considered, not even to be considered equal, to be considered unique. Right. I'll never forget what Woody Harrelson's character said in White Men Can't Jump. White Men Can't Jump. He said, he's not black, he's Jimmy.
Right.
Yep. They had to separate isolate Jimi Hendrix from the black race to appreciate his gift.
Right.
He's not black, he's Jimmy.
Right.
Because you can't be black and be this good.
Right. Impossible. Impossible. So real quick reset. This episode is brought to you by the like button. Make sure you hit that if you're on the YouTube space. Hit that like button. If you've not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. If you're into Facebook land, make sure you are liking and following the Brothers of Legacy as well. And you know what else you can do in Facebook land? Tag somebody. Put a name in. Hit that @ button. a plethora of names come up. Just pick one or two or three and let them come on in the conversation. So we appreciate you guys for rocking and hanging with us. And if you're missing out on any notifications, because Facebook doesn't like me sometimes, they've been doing better. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576 and never miss a broadcast. Boom. So yeah.
I think about, one thing that you think about, it just looking back biblically, look at scripture. When Jesus came on the scene, Jesus came on the scene to fulfill prophecy, but he came to disrupt Gnosticism. Right. Gnosis, meaning knowledge. Gnosis is knowledge. And back then, Gnostics were the people who believed that we had a part of God. They didn't believe that Jesus was fully man and fully God at the same time. They did not believe that God came in human flesh. They believed that they tried to convince everybody that Jesus was just a man,
right,
who came to teach a lesson. But he was much more than that. He was fully God and fully man. And so that's why Jesus had to be crucified.
Right.
Because he was disrupting the system that had been controlled by the people of knowledge, the educated folks, the Gnostics. Right. And so they're saying, no, he's good, but we can't let him come in here and convince people that they have the ability to do what we're doing,
right,
that everything is possible. So we have to kill him. Right. And that's what is happening today. That's what this whole, this is why, Black Lives Matter is AKA Antifa.
Right.
This is why Black Lives Matter is seen as a terrorist organization, because we don't control media narratives.
That's true.
Right. And what's so amazing is the very person that has coined the term fake news is the liar. Right.
Indeed. Yep.
And so the message for us is we have to change how we view success. And I believe we are changing how we view success, but I think that more of us have to change how we view success. We've been having conversations with my daughter Brienne, who for as long as I can remember, she talked about, being a pediatric physician, and she has been training her mind to do that. And now, and I told her, I'm like, you're going to get to college and your world is going to open up. It's going to broaden. And now she's like, she's not sure. Right. And I'm saying it's okay to not be sure. But in her mind, she's got to break this mold of, but what are people going to think? Right. And so we're letting her know, like, listen, you control the narrative of your life. You control what you want to do. You control everything about you and the decisions that you make. It can't be based on what someone else's definition of you is. And so we have to make sure that our children are chasing their dreams. And not ours. And not the system. That's real talk, man.
Yeah. I think
because what happens is they get confused.
Yep. Indeed.
My wife said when she grew up, that's my Christelle, that's my doctor, or that's my lawyer.
Right.
That's gonna be the first family doctor. That's gonna be the first family lawyer because she had good grades in school.
Right.
Well, just because you have good grades doesn't mean you're gonna be a doctor, doesn't mean you're gonna be a lawyer.
Right.
Just means you do your homework.
Right. Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so we have to make sure that we are giving our children room to really understand what the definition of success is, because we were raised in an environment, in a system, in a culture where success was defined by someone else.
Right. Yes.
And they did not have our best interests at heart.
Not at all. Yeah. And not really understanding, what or how to achieve certain levels of success, and waiting. He said, ask me how I know. So yeah, definitely. we have to continuously push our children to know that anything is possible. Like you can, what you set your heart to, what you set your mind to, can become a reality, and not because sometimes you when you learn too much, you begin to limit yourself. You learn that it's these things are difficult or challenging, but you never learn the perseverance part of becoming something greater, becoming something better. And that, there's so many hurdles. That's the first thing anybody tries to do something, you get told about the hurdles. Because you are doesn't mean you are an athlete, right?
Just because you're tall doesn't mean you should play basketball. Right. Yeah,
right, exactly. And we do that. We do it a lot. We do it a lot. We do it a lot. We do it a lot.
We do it not because of the joy of watching you be successful at putting the ball in the basket. We do it as an opportunity for financial liberation.
True.
That's what it is. I'm gonna get my family out of the hood.
Right.
If I had $1 for every athlete that said I had to do this to do something for my family. Right.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, is it for the love of the game, or is it for the desire to not pay rent? I mean, it's a real question. And I'm saying, you can debate me all day, but the reality is a lot of what we do is not because of our passion. A lot of what we do is because of the system.
Right. For the system, opportunity, and not really chasing what's in you, just what's in front of you.
I got in IT 30 years ago, man, because I saw the amount of money that could be made.
Right.
And then I saw, like, I was able to go to the doctor and not have to worry. I only had to pay $10 to go to the doctor.
Right.
I've never had to worry about health insurance.
Right.
Because of my career.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I mean, life insurance, and I'm saying, like, these are the things that make you that help you as a provider. But you do have to question why you do what you do. Is it based on what you're passionate about, or is it based on the system is designed that says this is what I'm supposed to do, this is who I'm supposed to be?
Right.
And we have to ask ourselves that, because if that's the case, whose definition are you using? Because if you're in if you're in a world that is brushed white,
right,
and they tell you this is what you need to do for your family. This is why it's so important to read the Bible. This is why it's so important to have a relationship with God, right? Because I found out that in the Lord, all things are possible. All things are possible. When you delight yourself in him, he'll give you the desires of. We talked about this last night.
Right.
Last night in Bible study. Like, you can't want the government to do something great. You got to want God to do something great. I'm not empowered by a human narrative. I'm empowered by the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God's empowerment allows me to chase whatever I want to chase.
Yeah. I got a question, though. So that is what you speak, word. I just want to make sure I'm clear on. It's 100% true. And there's no buts about it. I asked, though, unfortunately, though I read the word, right, and I know the possibilities, that I've had the dream, and I'm like, boom, I'm forging forward to want to do this thing, right? What happens when I'm around limited mindset people? And let's keep it 100. This limited mindset people sometimes are in the same worship center with me. Like me and God, like, boom, me and God, I feel like me and God right here, but everyone else like, but is that realistic? Like it, and they're like, yeah, baby, I know you want to, but first you need to, then you need to, and then you can, and you're like, do I really have to do it that way? Or can I just make the sacrifice, make the leap? And you know what I'm saying? Because
But see, for me,
have,
what I say
yeah,
is you have the ability to do what you want to do,
right,
but you got to be able to live with the consequences of your decision.
right, and I
I'm
think
not saying you can't go from 1 to 10,
right,
but if you go from 1 to 10 and you skip 2 through 9, there are lessons that you get
indeed,
at 2 through 9,
indeed,
right? And what happens is you'll still have to deal with all the 2 through 9 issues when you get to 10, but you just won't have any experience dealing with them.
indeed,
Tell me you can't do it.
right, right,
You can listen. You can put $100 million in my bank today
mm-hmm.
and tell me to go for it.
Right, right,
And then the question will be, what are the chances that in 10 years that 100 million has become $1 billion
right,
versus in 10 years I'm broke?
right.
If I
No,
haven't learned to manage 6 figures, I'm going to be confused with 7
right,
because I will not have learned the lessons. I don't know the tax code.
right.
I don't know what are good investments. I don't know how to hold on to it. I don't understand interest rates. There's so many things. I don't know how to tell people, no, that's not a good investment. That's not a good loan. So I'm saying you can do it,
Right.
but you have to be able to live with the outcome of your decisions.
Indeed.
And there's nothing
okay.
saying that you can't do it.
No doubt about that. But I think sometimes, like, I have
My daughter says, "Ooh, I can't wait. I can't wait to turn 18." My daughter, yesterday, I took Rachel, my last biological child. I took her to get her driver's license. She's official.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And we got in there and she was like, I don't want to put her business in the streets. We were on our way. She's like, there's no way I'm not going to pass this driver's test. There's just no way. Right. And I'm like, there is a way that you can fail the test. You have to know that going in so that you're more focused. And I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not going to, but have the faith, but know that it is a possibility. Right. And then she says, as long as they don't ask me to back up and park.
Is it long?
Right.
Right.
What do you think the first thing was she had to do?
Back that car.
Could you please reverse the back up between these cones?
Right.
Man, when I tell you she looks out and like this was a virtual test. Like I'm in the car and they put a camera in the car. They don't have somebody sitting in the car with you.
Oh.
It's different now. So
interesting.
The last thing she said she didn't want them to do, I asked her to do, was the first thing they asked her to do.
Of course.
And when I tell you she messed it up, like it was so, and I couldn't say anything. I literally had to fold my arms in the passenger seat and do this with my mouth. Man, I was so hot because she didn't even understand the instructions. Wow. Okay, so let me get that, put that to the side. My point is, she got her license yesterday, so we celebrated. And as soon as we got home, she left the house. And they don't give you your license; they mail it to you.
Right.
They give you a piece of paper. Right. As soon as we got home, she said, "Hey, Dad, I want to go get me something to eat." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Go get you something to eat." And she leaves the paper license on the counter.
Mm.
What am I saying? I'm saying you were able to achieve the goal.
Right.
But your first opportunity to take advantage of your accomplishment, you skipped a step. The piece of paper that you've been fighting so hard for all these years, you left the house and you left that piece of paper in the house. You did it. You were successful. I'm going back to your point. You were successful. You accomplished the goal.
Right.
But when you made it there, you skipped a step.
Right.
My point is, if you got pulled over, Princess, right now, you could get cited for driving without your license.
Right.
On your first official drive. So you made it to the top of the mountain.
Right.
Yes. As bad as a free slave. I can let you loose, but you have to take the chains off.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, yes, you can skip steps, you can get to the top, but you got to know what to do when you get there. And sometimes you skip steps and get to the top and you bump your head because you didn't take each of those steps seriously.
This generation has.
Yeah. She laughed. I told her, I said, yeah, I didn't pass my test, the first driving test when I went to get my license.
You said you didn't? Oh.
I did not. No, it was raining and I failed. Like the first thing they had me to do was parallel park, and I got up, I went all up on the curb.
Yeah, New York, you tapped the curb, you done. Yeah.
I was in my uncle's Thunderbird. Right.
Oh, wow.
And it was raining. It was humid. I was in Illinois, and they asked me, did I know where the defrost? I didn't even know where the defrost was in the car.
Wow.
Now, mind you, I went through driver's ed in the 10th grade. I went through the entire semester of education, driving, simulator, all that. And then I got in my uncle's car that I had never driven before, and I didn't know where the defrost was.
Gotcha.
So the instructor was literally wiping the window in the car because the instructor didn't know where it was either.
Right.
And so I went through the entire test, and they said, well, I'm sorry, you failed with the first task when you went up on the curb. I'm like, then why did I have to go through the whole test? The instructor said, because I wanted you to have the experience.
Yeah, they usually let you finish. Right. I got it.
And I tried to tell my daughter that, and she laughed. And I told her yesterday, I said, you failed the first task that they asked you, and you passed anyway. I said, you're the reason why there's so many licensed drivers out here that can't drive.
You're so wrong. That's so wrong.
She was like, no, Dad, stop, Dad. Like, like I'm wrong for saying that. Yes, Cheryl, it was a life lesson.
Right.
Because once you have your driver's license, nobody's going to care that you failed the first time.
Right.
Nobody cares that Donald Trump filed bankruptcy 15,000 times.
Right.
They call him one of the wealthiest men in America.
Yeah.
Is he?
Right. Is he?
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Who defines success? Because they deem Donald Trump as a successful person.
Right. He said this has been so very wrong. Everyone gets a trophy. It's funny that we talk about the driver's license test and like steps. So I'm like you. I had lessons or whatever. And my teacher, she drove with me to the testing site. And she showed me stuff, and she got out the car, and the not instructor, but the dude doing the test, the road test person, was coming to the car. And before they can get to the car, she came running. She ran on my side of the car. She said, listen, one more thing. She said, if you get to an intersection and you cannot see, she says, I don't care if you got to sit there for hours. Do not move until that truck moves, or whatever's sitting there moves. I was like, all right. So sure enough, we pull out, we get to an intersection. There's this big old truck sitting there. And I was like, don't move. She's like, I don't care how long you got to sit there. Don't move until that truck moves, because you cannot see, right? You can't see around them. So, and it's funny, and I always think about that. I was like, wow, because I would have been like,
trying to skirt around. Yeah.
Right. And then, because, once something almost happens, even if nothing happens, you fail lessons and still. Really.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that was to you, because that came out before you started telling your story. So I'm thinking he was aiming that at me, but I'm just not receiving that. I'm just like, I'm in the matrix with that one.
Right. But my and I hear you with the steps. One of my points I wanted to make, though, as far as definition of success, like if I'm deciding to do something, right, and the typical salary, or the chances of success, or someone has not seen anyone make a lot of money doing, people generally like, baby, don't do that. Why don't you just do this? But I'm really good at this thing. I don't know what it may become, but I feel like, God's showing me that this should be the thing that I do. He said, I'm told I'm a bad driver, but I drive. Right. Okay.
That's just because somebody don't want to drive, don't feel like driving. But keep driving, bro.
Keep driving.
Yeah. Don't be the man in the passenger seat with your woman driving. Don't be that guy. That's a whole nother conversation. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh, but yeah. So what happens in that? Those situations where, you have an interest in, especially like back in the day, you have an interest in something. The first thing they say is, "How you gonna make money with that?"
Ain't no money in that.
There's no money in that, right?
Yeah.
Who gonna just watch you on screen? There's no money in that. So I
have you ever eaten a peanut butter cookie?
Yes.
I bet a lot of people have. But I bet nobody thought that there was money in peanut butter cookies.
Right. Who gonna buy that?
We talked about, my daughter and I talked about, she was looking at salaries, beginning salaries, and she compared psychologists because she was like, Dad, this psychology class is really intriguing for me. I really am enjoying it. I said, well, see how you feel after the semester, because everything is great in the beginning, but see how you feel when you get to the other side. She said, so we went through this exercise. I said, let's look at salary. She said, because I looked at the starting salary for a child psychologist, and it was like, $70,000. But when I look at the starting salary for a pediatric physician, it's like $174,000. She's like, I like that $174,000. I said, yeah, but is it the salary, the opening salary that's got you? I said, because what makes you think you can't make $174,000 or $147,000 as a child psychologist?
Right.
Why could you do that? Like, you could make millions doing that.
Right.
What if you're providing counsel to a multi-billionaire's child?
Right.
You set your price.
Right.
You determine who your clients are.
Right.
I'm like, so, and then the other thing I said is, and you're talking about the entry level salary coming out of school as a graduate. I said, $70,000 at 23, 24 years old is great when you have no children and you have no debt.
Right.
That's a great amount of money to make.
Right.
If it's just you. So why would that be a problem? I said, you got to have the right perspective.
Right.
What are you really looking for? Because you can't go into something chasing the dollar. You can't go into it because of the salary. Because I know a lot of doctors that are depressed and are getting sued for malpractice.
Right.
Because they don't like what they do, or they don't like the people that they serve.
Right. That is true.
So you got to think broader and make sure you're doing what you want to do.
Right. Definitely. All right. So listen, guys, we appreciate you rocking with us and hanging with us. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy, where we don't stand out, we stand up. Make sure you are sharing. Sharing is caring. Also, make sure you're part of our text community. Text LWN 84576. And just as a caveat, if you are in a relationship, we have a weekly challenge that we do, Purpose for Forever. So that same number, 84576, text P4F. That's P4, the number 4F. And you'll be part of our weekly challenge and what we have going on each week. To this week, I was trying to remember off the top of my head, and I'm going blank again. Oh, it's just compliment your spouse 3 times this week. 3 times. 3. That's it. Very simple. Very simple. So they're gonna get a little more challenging as the weeks progress. But we appreciate you guys being here. Continue to be blessed. Continue to do the right thing. Know that we love you. God loves you more. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the AM. All right? Peace out. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys.